damn, I just went on a date with a guy. He made me pay for my own meal. Or how many times do you see a girl saying, my boyfriend didn't even buy me a designer bag. He just bought me something from H&M. It's not even designer. It's not even something like Prada or Louis Vuitton. How many times have you seen a girl call a guy cheap because of this?
Like a lot.
Do you have a lot of female friends that do that?
Depends on like their background, if they come from a spoiled family or not.
Okay, let me tell you my experience. I've had so many girlfriends that have called me cheap.
Oh shit.
And you know what the funny thing is okay, this channel, we're about men and women equality, right? So if you guys want to check out our other videos, it's always about like we're talking about female and males, they're always equal. Okay, so we strive to be having women and men and women being equal. So what the logic here is, the problem with this logic is that if men and women are equal and the man is paying more, how is there a right for the woman to say that this man is cheap? For example, with my girlfriends before, I always paid more than them. Always. The whole relationship, I paid more. But for some reason, I got called cheap way more than them. I never called them cheap. Why is it that women can call men cheap, but
Not
a
the
man,
way around.
a man can call a woman cheap, but do we ever fucking call a woman cheap?
No, not really.
You never hear that ever. Like when a girl goes on a date, after she goes to talk to her girlfriends, and I have many female friends, that's how I know this. She always, probably one of the biggest things is, yeah, he didn't even try to pay for my meal. Why is it not like, oh, he doesn't have a good personality, he was kind of a dick? And I do kind of hear that sometimes, right?
Finances always come like at the top somewhere.
Yes, the finances is always the number one complaint from a girl. Why the fuck is that?
I honestly don't know. I feel like if they want to be treated equal, like they should be like fine with paying like half the stuff, you know?
Yeah, we live in a society where men and women or feminists are saying, well, we want women equality, we want gender equality, blah, 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 blah. But then if you're having still men pay for these things, and if they decide not to pay for these things, or if they do pay for these things, but it's not enough, then what factor or how much does a man have to pay until it is enough? For example, I had a girlfriend in the past where she had debts. She owed a lot of money. And then there's, for example, like tuition, right? There could be tuition. There could be when you go out to play, like activities. You go out to eat. There's not even enough money to cover her own like survivability for food, right? There could be even leisure items like buying a gift.
Like even on top of that, maybe like rent or like utilities, you know, they'd be like living at their own place, but they want you to pay for it or something, you know?
Yeah, I never paid for a girl's rent. But
Yeah, no.
I mean, I did supplies living and stuff like that, but that's at my parents' house. So that wasn't necessarily I had to pay out of my own pocket. But with that, it's like weekends and weekdays sometimes. Mom would cook, and then that's kind of like a means of supplying food, right? So if in essence I was cheap, wouldn't I be telling my mom, hey, don't cook for my girlfriend, right? Don't cook for my girlfriend. And then why is it that when my mom cooks for my girlfriend, I still get called cheap? Why is it that when I pay for certain debts that is owed, for example, like student loans, for example, debts like credit card debts or things like that, things of that nature, why is it that I still get called cheap? And this is the most important question. If you really love someone, we always hear this term, right? We always hear this phrase where it's like, if you really love someone, you would give your all to that person. But what doesn't make sense to me is how much is enough? And when I've kind of vented to a couple friends, actually female friends, which is fucking hilarious. I think it's funny because they're like, why does it matter how much you give? I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? If you're having to give your own savings, if you're having to give thousands of dollars to kind of a black hole of debt, you don't know when this debt is going to end because her family owes a lot of money. Then how long is it until like you can show that you actually really love this person? Or how long is it to a point where that you can show you're not cheap anymore, right?
Or like maybe it's not even the guy's fault in the case. Maybe it's just the girl like having absurd standards, you know? Like just something that's like infatuated, you know? For the most part, women can have these standards because like many guys put them on a pedestal, so once they've been treated this way, they want every other guy to treat them that way, you know?
That's a really good point, man. That's a really good point, and I think um, we hear a lot of this talk about incels or simps putting a woman on a pedestal, so that when that woman is put on a pedestal, her standards are a lot higher because
Yeah.
her past boyfriend or a past guy she dated before provided all of this relief for her. Probably provided all this debt relief. He's like, "Oh, you owe a lot of money to this bank. I'll pay it all for you." So then once I get with her and I don't fulfill that, I can't fulfill something that her previous boyfriend previously fulfilled, then I'm treated as, or I'm called, or I'm looked upon as cheap, even though I'm still providing probably 10 times the amount more than that she provides to me. So, for example, what I'm saying with that is that $10, she probably spends about like $10 on a meal. I probably spent $100 on the past 10 meals.
With her, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't seem equal to me. And then she would still call you cheap?
Yeah. So my next question is there a prorated amount? For example, we talk about this issue a lot with our friends. I think everyone has talked about this issue a lot. For example, if the man makes $100,000, the woman makes $10,000. That's less than minimum wage. I'm just giving an example. I'm using intervals of 10 so it's easier to understand. If she makes $10,000, the man makes $100,000. He makes 10 times more the amount than her. Okay. So would he have to spend 10 times more the amount on, for example, food, for example, bills, for example, if they get married, they have insurance policies together, for example, leisure activities, going like Knott's Berry Farm, going like Disneyland, would he have to spend 10x the amount for him to not get called cheap?
I think it all depends, but for the most part, men do have to spend majority of their money or spend like maybe 5 to 10 times more than women do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have you ever seen a woman who makes more than a man?
Like very few.
Very few.
Yeah.
In your experience, for example, your female friend, she makes more than her boyfriend. Would she still pay more than him?
No, that's the funny thing. She would probably spend most of it on herself.
Okay, like to be fair, I've seen girls pay more than the guy, right? So I'm gonna be very fair. There are outlier cases like this, but we on this channel on Controvert, we talk about plain cases. We talk about general cases, overruling cases, okay? We're not talking about outliers, but for the most part, I have seen women, even if they make more than a man, she spends or invests that more into herself than the man. For some reason, we're all led to believe that the man has to pay for a lot of the finances. But then we're also led to believe that men and women are equal. So these are conflicts because one is a traditional aspect, one is a traditional ideology, another is a more modern ideology. Which one's the more modern ideology? Men and women are equal, right?
Yeah.
The more traditional is that men have to pay for the finances. So if you kind of put two and two together, then what are you trying to do? Are you trying to be traditional or are you trying to be more modern? That's where, like, you should either just pick one. You should just pick one. If you want to go for dating, you got to think, I want to be traditional. I want the man to pay for everything. If you want the man to pay for everything, then you have to go you got to go the kitchen, you got to do the dishes, you got to do the laundry, you got to go cook. But if you want like men and women to be equal, where the man also does the housework, same amount as you, but he also has to pay for finances, you're kind of benefiting a little bit too much.
Yeah, like traditionally back in the day, like men were the only ones working and like women were the housewives, right? But now you have it where like both parties would be working, you know? So like that kind of mixes up the, roles a little bit,
Exactly. And with men and women being equal, men and women are supposed to work. They're supposed to go and get the bread. The man has to go out to work. He has to get the bread. The woman has to go out to work to get the bread. But if you're saying that men and women are equal, the man has to get the bread while the woman just slacks off and does jack shit. And when the man comes back home, she's like, we're both equal. So we both should do housework. But she's not getting money. Probably the amount she makes is like chump change compared to him, right?
Or she's not even working at all. She just stay home.
I mean, anyone who has watched our videos knows I've dated a lot of girls, right? A lot of our videos, I've mentioned that. And then statistically, I had even enough data to prove that how many of the girls that I dated, they make way less than me. And I don't even make that much. I'm not like someone like fucking Andrew Tate who's like a billionaire and all that shit. And I can go like, oh yeah, because of this, I have status. I have status, so I can pay for everything, right? No, man, like I'm not like that. But I make way more than like these girls. And then their expectation in a guy is that he has to pay for a lot of these items, a lot of the items that I mentioned before, financial issues, monetary gain, things that give the girl monetary gain. And also, for example, if she's feeling sick, she's like, oh, how come you didn't drive and drop off meds to me? Because my ex-boyfriend did that to me in the past and I thought it was very cute. And then so there would be kind of like chores like that. And there would be like housework too. I have to like organize things for her because she's not organized. So then I'm just looking at it and there's like a little bit of an imbalance of equality. So for me, I get called cheap because I don't supply you all the money that you want. Is it safe to say that the expectations are a little bit too high?
Yeah, because what does she have to offer in return besides? And if she's not even doing house chores, like, that doesn't seem equal to me.
Yeah, what got me most fucked up is that I get called cheap when men and women are supposed to be equal. How am I getting called cheap when I'm already putting 10 times more amount on bills for supplying your living capabilities, for supplying leisure activity? How is that possible?
I would argue in some cases that it's not even finances. Maybe it's like the woman like suffering from like just not being content with life.
Probably there's a little bit of a conflict that goes on in some women's minds where they think I should be getting my bills paid, like every type of bill, like the finances that I mentioned earlier. But also they think that men and women should be equal, where man should also do the housework. But that's very big conflict because in the olden times, like traditional times, even our parents' generation, a lot of the men just made their women just stay at home like housewives, right? The housewife wouldn't have to work. So say for example, you're right now, you're not making that much. You're making minimum wage as a woman. And your man is making a lot more than you. He's paying a lot of the bills. So what gives you the right to call this man cheap if you're not even doing housework?
Yeah. I- Are women just putting us down at this point, or?
Yeah, so I mean that's a lot of why I wanted to start this channel because men face these types of issues. And when we face these type of issues, it kind of makes us have a light bulb in our head like, why does this happen to us? Why do we get called cheap? Why do we receive this belittling from women when we're supposed to be equal? If men and women are supposed to be equal, then why is it I'm getting called cheap even though I'm putting more? I'm putting more in finances. I'm putting more in love. I'm putting more in just effort, just my time. And
To
for
make
example,
her happy or
yeah,
satisfied.
yeah. And then, for example, time is money, right?
Yeah.
If time is money, and a man makes more than a woman, for example, if I make $100,000, my woman makes $50,000. If I make way like 2 times more, then shouldn't my time be more valuable? Why is it that like you treat my time as if it's disposable? Why is it that you treat my time as if I need to put in more work than you? Right? Why is that? And then I still have to, at the end of the day, hear you tell your friends that I'm fucking cheap.
That doesn't make sense where like the man goes out, works the whole day, like spends most of his time, which is money, and then the woman like she could just stay at home and then like just say some stupid stuff like, "Oh yeah, he's cheap," you know, and she's not even doing anything on her time, you
Well,
know.
let's not say like just stay at home. Let's be a little bit fair. Like most
Okay, like
women now,
women work, yeah,
they
work
work,
part
they
time or
work.
something,
But
yeah.
most of the women that I see, they're pretty close to minimum wage. They're like about in the 20s, like $20 an hour range.
Send your best man, you gonna lose your best hitter. What the fuck is that?
Or maybe even less. I've even dated girls that like worked at a hot pot shop. And a hot pot, I don't know if like some of the viewers are Asian, but like hot pot is like a Chinese pot, and then you just like put in like beef, and then I don't know, it's probably like $15 for like a hot pot or something. But I've had girls that I dated that worked at like hot pot shops or even boba shops.
It's like waiters or waitresses or something.
Yeah,
like
and
that.
then like those jobs, you only get paid minimum wage,
Yeah.
and then you kind of survive a little bit off tips. So we're looking at about like $18 an hour. If you get paid $18 an hour, you're expecting me to do way more than you. I've already paid more than you. And then if I don't pay enough to a point where you like it, then I get called cheap. So I have to pay more. See, these are all the cons I'm listing that a man has to endure. I have to pay more. I have to do more love activities for you. I have to sacrifice more of my time that is more valuable than yours, because my time, my amount of money that I make an hour is more than yours. And then lastly, I have to get called cheap and receive your disrespect. What the fuck is that?
God damn.
And then in Chinese, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, right?
This is like death, right?
That means death. So that's why a lot of men they kill themselves, because they just get driven to a point where they can't take this type of belittling anymore. Like what a man just wants is respect.
Exactly.
And you as a woman, you should give your man respect. You shouldn't just call him cheap. You shouldn't just say he's a scumbag. You shouldn't say he's an asshole because he didn't pay for this thing. What the fuck did you pay for?
Nothing.
If there's gender equality, why the fuck are you not paying for more things then? And then why are you all of a sudden at the end of all this bullshit, you're still calling him cheap? He paid for you. He housed you. He took care of you. Come on, man. He's not going to give his whole life savings for you. You're not even his fucking wife.
Yeah, right? You're not even a wife, and then you're still getting like all these like benefits from the guy.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
And you just think about the investment. Think about the investment. Why would I invest my time in a girl or my money in a girl if I could make, right now, we're in like a financial crisis. The time of posting this video, I think the bond market is actually 5%. If I just put in a lot of my savings into a bond market, I get 5% back. So say, for example, I put in 1 million. I get 5% of 1 million. Like in a year. That's a lot of money, man.
Yeah.
So why would I invest my money if you're not even my wife? If there's a possibility we might break up, and if you're fucking disrespecting me, why the fuck would I invest my money into your ass and you're still gonna call me fucking cheap? Fuck that shit, man. And I know a lot of girls, I'm gonna be saying all this shit and they're not gonna be happy, but they're probably thinking, oh no, well, I pay for my fucking boyfriend way more than he pays for me, or we go Dutch. I'm not talking about your fucking bullshit, okay? I have to reiterate that so many times. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the general population. General population. We're not talking about outliers. I'm so fucking sick of people saying like, oh, well, I do this for my fucking boyfriend, so no, it's not every fucking
We're not talking
woman.
about you guys, okay?
Yeah, we're not talking about you guys. Please, just shut up. I mean, you can leave your comment below, but please stop. Another thing I want to talk about is one of my experiences with another girl I dated in the past, where when the check comes for food, she doesn't even try to like take out her money or anything like that. So we were together for almost a year at that point. Every time I would have to deal with this, where she would not even pull out her wallet. She would just like let it sit. Sometimes I would even like wait for a very long time to see if she would actually do something with the check. And then when it got to a very absurd amount of time, she was like, I'll just pay for this. Very, very upset, not happy. And we're already together for a year. And that's the point where you kind of get acclimated to, okay, like we're going Dutch. You know, this is the relationship where we kind of go Dutch. You know, I just started my job. I just graduated from college. I just started my job. So I don't have enough to pay for all of your food when we go out to eat, right? So, and to be honest, I think I actually did have enough money. I just, you know, like what's the point? Why would I invest that money into someone that's not even gonna give me that much benefits?
Not even a wife at that point yet.
Yeah, she hasn't done anything to me outside of monetary benefits. And then we've had like this discussion many times. She'd be like, the only things you want is monetary gain. But actually, it's actually not even that. I haven't seen her do anything. Not like any house chores, not like anything for my career development, not anything to even help the business that I was starting out with.
So like not even supporting you.
Nothing for support. So why would I invest like money that I have into her? I mean, I did have it, but like I just
Didn't
would I
see
do
the
that?
value in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then men, a lot of times they always want to save money as quick as possible so they could invest into a house so that he could buy that house for his future wife. That's a lot of what men think about, right? Like ladies out there, think about that because men, we always think about the long term. So if he's saving money so that you guys can live together in a house. And if you keep bugging him about like, oh, why don't you buy me fucking this food? Why don't we go to like Sizzlers to go eat some food? Or why don't we go to a Grand Town buffet? Hometown, what is it? I don't fucking know.
Hometown buffet, right?
Hometown
Yeah,
buffet.
yeah.
I'm just making up shit at this point. I'm just putting some random ass, I don't know, soup plantation. But if you're bugging your man to go like, oh, how come we don't go these places to eat? Then you're kind of delaying his ability to provide you a house in the future. So you're kind of like not really thinking far in the future, right? A lot of women, they live for the moment, but men, they live for the planning. They live for the longevity. They live for a better future.
Yeah.
That's not to say that women don't do that. I'm just saying that generally speaking. So getting back to that topic with that girl I dated before, she didn't do anything for me. I didn't see anything. So I thought that that was a shitty investment. Okay. So whenever she would like take the check when I took too long, she'd be like upset. Oh my God, I have to pay for, I'll pay for this. And then I'll be like, no, let's just split it. She'd still be upset. Okay. And then sometimes I would even push this to see how far it would get absurd. I would sometimes just pay for it and be like, yeah, just Venmo me half of the amount, be upset. And then we go out to eat again. Check comes, it's for example, $20 for both of us. I just tell her, hey, you know what? Just Venmo me $8, right? So if you do the math, half of $20 is 10. So
A little bit less than half.
I would be paying about like 60%, right? And then she would still be upset. She'd be like, fine, Venmo me. Check comes again in the future for another like meal. For example, also $20. And then I would ask her, hey, just Venmo me $5.
And she would have the same attitude?
Same attitude.
Wow.
Sometimes I would even go as low as fucking $1. I just wanted to see if she would just give me like attitude. She'd be like, same thing. Pissed off.
Why is that though? Like, I
And
want to
then-
know. I want to know.
You know, funny thing is that even when I paid the full amount, sometimes I just didn't even want to see her fucking attitude.
You're just fed up with it, huh? You're like, fucking god damn
So
it.
fucking fed up with it.
Oh,
I was just like,
shit.
I'm gonna just pay for this shit.
Yeah.
And then not even a thank you, not even like, hey, let me sucky you like tonight.
Oh,
Very
what?
well. Nothing, bro.
No way.
I was like, what am I gonna pay for this in the future for? So if you guys want to watch, there's one video where we talk about what all men just want.
Alright.
So for all the women out there, it's a very good video. It's gonna stop fucking yawning. Shut the fuck up. So for all the women out there, it's a very good video. Very highly suggest you watch that. It's gonna give you a lot of insight about what men just want and then the minds of men, how it works so that you could have a happier relationship with your boyfriend in the future. So back to the story. After that, I was just like, dude, if it's gonna be the same thing, I'll just not pay for her. And then
See where it goes.
yeah, see where it goes. still got the same attitude. I was like, okay, good thing I didn't keep paying for her because I still got the same attitude. So I was like, all right, whatever. And then, so how this links to us being called cheap is because at the end of this relationship, she started talking all this shit to her friends. She started talking all this shit to even my friends, saying that I was cheap when I fucking covered her more than she covered me. And I'll even tell you some fucked up, even more fucked up thing. She came back from Taiwan one time. I picked her up at the airport. And LAX, everyone knows LAX is like really traffic. Had spent like so long just waiting in line for that traffic, right? And then when I asked her to take me to, I think it was Long Beach Airport. Long Beach Airport is super fast, super quick. I needed to go to Hawaii or some shit. And then when she was taking me there, she was like, yeah, can you Venmo me gas money? And then funny thing is, when I picked her up from the airport, when she came back from Taiwan that one
You
time,
didn't ask for it.
I didn't ask for any money. Funny thing is that I was already covering a lot of these bills. Not like everything, not like 100%,
But,
but
like,
you know,
a lot
like,
of her expenses.
a lot of her expenses. And like even though like she would still kind of give me attitude, I still paid for like at least like 70% of the bill. Like sometimes like when I didn't want to see her fucking attitude, I just pay for all of it. I'm just, you know. But is it safe to say that I covered all of her expenses? No, I didn't cover all her expenses, but I did cover like a majority of her expenses. And then for her, just be like, yeah, can you Venmo me gas money? I'm low on money. And then I was like, yeah, I'll pay you. I never called her fucking cheap. And after she fucking breaks up with me, calls me fucking cheap. You know, just think about how much damage, how much emotional damage that does to a man. And how much privilege a woman can have. How easy and convenient it is for a woman to just call a man fucking cheap.
After all that he's done for you.
After all that he's done for you, it doesn't matter if your standards are fucking through the roof, where you think he has to cover every single fucking thing. He has to. Oh, I'm going to school for bachelor's. My boyfriend should take care of it for me. Oh, I want this designer bag. My boyfriend should take care of me. Or oh, I'm going shopping with my girls. My boyfriend should take care of me. We go out to a club. My boyfriend didn't buy me any drinks. He's fucking cheap. How's that fucking any? Dude, I don't know, man. It just pisses me off so much.
Yeah. I would say men suffer the most from this. Like, because after they provided so much and then being called cheap, you're like, why would I even want to do this to like the next girl that comes into my life, you know?
Yeah.
They start to like not see the value in doing as much.
Yeah, and the most fucked up part that gets a man thinking is that with this whole increase of gender equality, feminists fighting for gender equality, and then men and women are equal, and then women telling men, oh, why should I do this? We're equal. But then men still have to like pay financially. It fucks up a man's brain. It fucks a man's brain up. He starts to wonder, why am I paying for all this disrespect? And so that's why, like, I personally think that the suicide rate is higher for men, because men have to endure a lot of fucking bullshit. And then at the end of the day, his wife can't even support him and it has to badmouth him, or his girlfriend can't support him. She has to badmouth him. It's fucked up, man.
Yeah, I would say it is fucked up too, because usually guys also have their own trauma on top of what the girls bringing to the table too. Like, what makes a guy a high value man is like all the trauma that he's been through, you know? It's going to do some emotional damage to him, like if he's just getting disrespected all the time.
And also, if he has to also take care of like the emotional baggage that even a woman has to offer. So along with the monetary baggage, I had to also take care of like some emotional baggage as well. So you just think about all these things that add up, and then it's just a destructive reaction that we have.
Yeah.